Sure. Okay, then let me share my screen.
Do you want to recap what we're doing, Yadamo?
Sure. Basically, what we want to do is to add the remote development module to the GitLab agent, which as of right now, at least for the first iteration, we're thinking of just having agent K call the GitLab Rails API directly through a helper interface, I think, through some helper struct interface functions that are already in the GitLab agent. So basically, we would avoid having to code anything for the server side, for the CAS side, and only have to code for the agent K side. What we won't get away with is having no optimization whatsoever, as in we will have a configuration value for whether it should be turned on or off. And if it's on, it'll be infinitely polling every 10 seconds or whatever we configure it to. And then maybe later we'll make some, or later we will likely make some efficiency improvements so that it's not polling continuously. But that's basically it. And what right now, like the immediate help I want right now is basically to run the GitLab agent locally. I've had success running the server side. It's up here. But the agent side, agent K, I'm having this error. I haven't looked into it really deeply. Like this is just like last 20 minutes stuff. So I don't know what could happen here. It seems like it's not being able to connect to the server. But I have no idea why that might be.
So I followed like there's the instructions that we have in the architecture docs, like the remote dev architecture docs, and then they reference the setup docs that are in Agent K. Is this made like, I know there's a host file entry. I don't know if that's maybe part of it. What do you think, Mikhail? You're muted.
Is this running as part of GDK, or how do you run it? Like where is CAS? How is CAS started?
It's not run as part of GDK. Yes and no. Like I configured GDK to run the GitLab agent, but then stopped that GDK run agent so I can run my local checked out branch of GitLab agent.
And where do you run it? In a separate terminal somewhere? Basically, is it running?
Is what running?
Is it running the CAS server?
It's here. Well, on this side of the screen.
CAS, right?
Yeah. This is running.
Well, you see it's listening on the local host, and you are connecting to a different IP address. So that's why it can.
And what's this? That makes sense. Sorry?
There's like a set of instructions that in the agent K docs that you went through, like one of them is setting environment variables for that's got the IP or something in it. Forget, right, Mikhail?
There's like 8 different setup instructions. So I'm a bit lost in that.
So in this case, in your configuration file, which looks like, well, I don't see.
Which configuration file? I can get it.
Focus. The GitLab Kubernetes agent, blah blah blah, YAML in GDK.
GitLab development.
The one that GDK generates.
This one, right?
Yes.
Config.
And this one has, you see, 127.0.0.1, and agent is connecting to a different IP.
Mm.
In the error, you can see that the agent is trying to connect to a different IP, the one that you told it to connect to. In the CAS.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. So you need to make CAS listen on that IP address.
Okay, and then how can I make it listen on that IP address?
By
Yeah, I
editing
thought
the
this.
configuration file. This tells CAS
Oh, okay.
it's potentially external address, like its own URL basically, and that is used later by other CAS instances to connect to this CAS instance. Because you may have a crazy network setup, like reverse proxy in front of each CAS or a sidecar or something crazy like that. It's a separate thing, basically. So here you need to set the IP addresses to that.
For the agent and Kubernetes API or for everything? Because as far as I know, my GDK is running on localhost, unless there's something I need to change on the GDK side as well.
So which instructions did you follow? Because I know about the instructions in the GTK repository, and I think they are correct. And I think they tell you to set up the host alias and use that, and also use Nginx with TLS.
Okay. Let me find the instructions. Okay, I think I found what I was looking for. This is what I was looking at. Yeah, I think I should just point to localhost. I think the other IP address is some bad.
I just sent the GDK docs page that I think Mikhail is talking about. You want to see if that is the one in the Zoom chat?
Sure, just let me find the Zoom chat.
Yeah, we should probably consolidate these docs. Yeah, we initially had docs here, then added docs to GDK. They were a little bit different. Now I'm actually not sure what is where because I don't remember.
Is this the one you were talking about, Mikhail?
Yes, I think this is the right. This is the
Right.
right instructions because they tell you to set up TLS, set up the host alias, and so on. And
right, and then like halfway down, this has some links to the GitLab agent docs that tell you to do some more stuff that is important.
Does it link back? Because yeah, I had seen this page as well, which I got from here, from like the setup casting GDK link.
Yeah, we should merge these two pages. It's confusing.
And then we
one is in the GitLab agent repo, and what is in the GDK repo. Okay,
yes.
okay.
Right, and the one in the GDK repo, like halfway down, if you scroll a little bit, like those links there. No, you just passed them. Those ones like go to the one above it, I think. Like, isn't that? Maybe not. Those are the.
No, that goes to the docs.
No, this is if you want to install the agent in the cluster,
Okay.
but you don't because you want to run it locally, your modified version. You see there are different use cases. There is a use case where someone wants to use it with GDK, but they are not developing the agent. They want to, for example, develop front end and use the agent to access Kubernetes API, or backend for GitLab, the GitLab application. So they're not developing CAS or agent, but they want to run agent. But there is also a use case like what we are doing here, which is changing agent code or CAS code. So they require slightly different setup. That's why
which I guess is the difference between these instructions and these instructions.
No,
Not really.
Not really. This difference here is more like historical. That we initially had instructions in the main repository, then added instructions in GDK, and then they got better, and these instructions kind of became out of date. And also, we kept adding features that needed more of Rails, so you would need GDK basically to develop locally.
Okay, so basically the GDK instructions are like the canonical ones.
Yeah.
At least at this point.
At this point, yes.
Okay.
So then we can start a new copy for the remote development and then like document it differently there.
I think I got to that page from a link, but I think it was just a link. It was not additional instructions. So. My guess. So I tried running the agent K side, but pointing to localhost instead of using the IP I had, which I think I got from Vishal. I don't know if you have some more complicated setup or if it's actually documented in one of these places.
It should be documented. He's probably using the localhost alias, so that it's this thing, so that it's reachable from Docker. And
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So then you
otherwise like runner in the container, you wouldn't be able to use CAS, for example.
Okay. So it would sort of work by using localhost, but there would be some limitations.
You can still make it work, but not for all the situations. It also depends on what features you use, because actually for what you are doing, you probably don't care. You probably don't need the alias, and you probably don't need TLS. But for CI tunnel, like without TLS, kubectl won't send credentials. So you have to have TLS. So yeah.
And that's this configuration. The loopback alias.
That's loadback. Yeah, the alias IP is needed for running accessing from Docker. So I recommend using the run from source instructions.
Oh, okay. These are the run from source instructions.
Yeah, well, you can run it via Bazel, via these instructions, which I don't know if they use Bazel or not. Probably they do.
Which instructions?
This is what you have selected. But then also you can just run it from your editor. Depends on what editor you use. I mean, from Golang you can run CAS or Agent K or both. That's what I do to develop and debug them.
Okay.
But you can also do what you are doing, run them from a terminal. It's whatever you like, whatever works for you. Just like with the editor, it's easier to start the debugging session and attach the debugger automatically and debug. And from a terminal, it's more hassle to do that.
I think that like we have this in the remote
Oh,
development app as well.
What?
There's also
Sorry.
In our documentation repo, like in the local setup, it is there. I'll send you a link to it. Like, I'm not sure if you already had this one open. It's in Zoom. Like, this is pretty much what I followed, I think. In addition to the GDK setup. It should really be in one place. It's confusing.
Likely this should link to the documentation on,
Right, and
on GDK.
I thought it did, but it doesn't. I could have sworn it did, but we should add it.
Yeah, I think I got it from the issue, like the GDK documentation, rather the GitLab Agent documentation, which links to the GDK documentation. This documentation, which linked to this one.
Ouroboros of documentation.
Yeah, I mean, it is separate documentation because this is specific to remote development. This is setting up Nginx, setting up the dev workspace operator, which is solely for remote development. And this part is up for me as well. This is where I started. But yeah, after this, you need to start running the agent so that the agent can use the dev workspace operator. Or, I mean, technically, I think we're not using the dev workspace operator at the moment, but sometime soon, the GitLab agent will be talking to the dev workspace operator. Too many tabs open.
yeah, you can also run it from source. That's a recent
Go run.
Yeah, that's a recent addition. But the way it doesn't use Bazel, it uses go run to run Ascent AGK.
Does is not running from source, like is running it with Bazel still recompiling it every time or not?
Yeah, yes.
It's just a longer process.
Yes, go run is probably faster.
I'll stop sharing the documentation, and I'll start sharing my terminal. Sorry, I have too many things open. I think my VI is a bit unconfigured at the moment, so I'm not sure. Yeah, to be completely honest, I don't tend to use an editor except for Vim, which works well when I know my way around the code. In this case, I don't think I have tree installed. But for now, just to get things started quickly, Chad or Mikhail, where is the code for the module for remote development? Like, where's the code for agent K side of things?
For the remote development, it's the remote dev branch of GitLab Agent.
Yeah, I think I'm in that branch. I'm not sure how old it is. I should check out remote dev and just pull.
You want me to share? I think I already have it up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I can. There's GitLab Agent on. Like one quick question, like on the docs, like where were the docs that talked about setting up this 172 address? And like,
There's load. It's called loopback alias IP, something like that.
But is that what repo
GDK.
are the docs? It's in the GDK. Okay.
Yeah, because this is also used by some other things in GDK. This is not a page I wrote. It's a page that was there already.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is the section within the GDK documentation on the Kubernetes agent. But that links as a number 3 step to set up a loopback alias IP, which is exactly what Mikhail is saying. It's a more general page for GDK.
Okay. So the under so there's remote dev and then the agent, and like we've got stuff in the server, but like we're effectively not going to use anything in the server. Like this whole thing is just going to go away with our architecture. Is that true, Mikhail? Everything in the server.
Yes. What do you have there at the moment?
It's the polar, or yeah, the git work that the agent was calling to, you know, the original architecture. So it's long, agent K is long polling to this, and then this has the poll with back off, and this is what is doing the request to Rails. But what you said yesterday is instead we're going to do something that looks more like the star bold vulnerability, right? That has what was in the worker?
I don't remember where it was, but it was somewhere there.
I think I have a bookmark here. This sort of it.
No, this is the server
This is the helper function that is called from the one that can make a request through CAS and gRPC all the way to Rails using HTTP.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to do something that, just to clarify, like I want to make sure I'm sure about this. The architecture we're proposing where agent K is directly calling to Rails, that's still proxied through CAS, but it's like transparent. We're not going to have any code on the CAS side, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So our goal is to turn, you know, this into what we want to where instead of.
So go to your factory in the remote dev agent. Yeah, this file. And then you see you get the config object, line 14.
Right.
So in that object, there is the API field. Yes, and that API field is an interface. And it has a method make request, if I remember correctly. That's just below, make GitLab request. And that's what you need to call from your agent module. So in the factory, put that object into the module as a field, or in the worker as a field. And in the worker, call
Like
it
API?
basically. Yeah.
That?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it capital API? Yeah, no, it's not capital API. It's
Right.
only A is capital.
The robots got it wrong.
Who is writing that code?
Copilot, GitHub, Microsoft,
Yeah.
the robots.
Okay.
Someone
Kind of
else
dangerous.
long ago that the
It's kind of
robots
dangerous
learned
in a
from.
language you don't know. It's a lot better in a language you know when it's doing wrong.
Yeah.
Like go for me.
So now you just need to add this field to the struct actually.
To the
And you can press command enter on it or option enter or something. Command enter, I think. Create field. Yep. Yep.
in the struct, okay.
Yep. And then here, well, another thing that you need, which we
We need the polling
discussed,
loop,
you need
right?
the polling configuration. So I guess comment out everything here and you can do.
So is it gonna look a lot like this? Like
Yeah,
A lot like this, but this
but we need to
calls,
get the configuration from somewhere.
yeah,
Okay.
because this calls the RPC API and you don't have the RPC API. That's only available in the server.
All right, so tell me what to do. Where do I go next?
Go to GitOps. Well, just type retry.poll or something here in the run function.
In the run function? Whoops.
Yep. Comment
just
out
this first-
everything or outside of the for loop, just here.
Okay, you just want to comment everything in there for now?
Yeah, for now. Yep.
Okay. What do you want?
Retry dot is like
Always back off.
with back of, yeah, this is the yeah, I think that's what you want. Yes, I think that's what you want.
Basically copying it over from what we currently have on the server side. The only thing different is where do we get the config from? Because that's the way we get the config on the server side is different.
Yes, so here you just construct the config in your factory. So CTX and then config will be a field in the worker.
Okay. So we created when we initialize a worker.
Yeah.
Just close it all.
Missing bracket, closing bracket.
And for the error.
And closing parentheses.
Not the brace, but parentheses. Yes,
yeah.
Just the thing,
Yeah. Poll with backoff basically has 3 fields, 3 parameters: context, the config, and the function that runs every poll.
Yes, and now you just need to, well, first
write that function.
Get the config from the registry, from the factory, inject it from in the factory into the worker, and you can see how it's constructed in, for example, GitOps module. Copy it from there.
In the agent?
Yep. Any
chart apps?
Factory.
In the factory.
Mm-hmm. And yep, here, one of them, any of them.
Okay.
This one is good enough. Yep.
And just put this
in the
up
factory.
here?
We can put it in our factory.
Yeah.
So that we don't recreate the config every time.
Just put it right here in line.
Yeah.
Create a field.
And then we add a new field to the worker.
Just call it poll config.
Have that config.
Yeah.
think there's an extra comma there.
You need to put that right into the worker literal.
Okay. Move it.
Online
Or
40
assign it to a variable and just put that variable in the worker.
whatever you like, doesn't matter.
Like that.
Yep. Just call it something like poll config.
Okay, then does that
Wait
mean that at
here.
least for GitOps, the config we're setting is defined in code? There's not a file anywhere.
Yeah, it's not configurable. It's hard to call it.
Yeah.
So
As you can see, like the default reinstall interval, blah, blah, blah. All of those are just constants. Mm-hmm.
like then where do they go? Oh,
After imports.
after the imports. Okay.
Yeah, usually have constants then.
I mean, we could probably rename it, and it seems like it's like GitOps has two different polling configurations.
Yeah,
Right.
different
We
things.
can leave those names for now, but I mean, we're not installing anything. It could be like polling for work init backoff, polling for work max backoff, or just if it's just one type of polling, we can just remove the prefix.
Yeah, I stuck this in the wrong place. This should have gone in the factory, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's where we're. I mean, it works. It's just less clear because it's part of the same package, Go package.
So,
You can tweak
yeah,
the
we'll
values.
leave them name
later.
that.
Yeah, you can tweak all of that later. Names and values. Create the field as well. Command enter.
Okay. It's option enter.
And then just use it here instead of this.
Instead of creating it on the fly, it's just what is it? Poll config.
Okay.
You need to call. This is because it's a factory of configs actually. Because each poll config is not, it has a backoff manager, and that manager is not thread safe. So we create a new instance when we need it.
Of the configuration.
Yeah, that's why it's a factory.
Okay.
What is this parameter? What's wrong with it?
I don't know.
What is the error message say?
You need to return boolean and an error. It wants you to return something.
Just return true nil. No need for parentheses. In fact, I don't know if it's a mistake, but I don't ever use parentheses.
Yeah, it's a mistake. There's no such syntax, I think.
Yeah. For parentheses?
Yeah, it's not a tuple. It's different values, different return values.
Does it not complain about this?
Yeah, it's complaining.
Yeah.
Or should it be without parentheses? Like, you see how much I know. Or...
just value, comma, value, comma, value.
Okay.
And you should, yeah.
What is a func still complaining about?
Because your
this was code generated, right?
Is dumb.
Yeah.
It
so what should it be?
Let's just go to the server. The code we currently have.
IntelliJ will generate it for you if you just type a little bit more.
Type what to start?
F. Well, that's generated by your magical thing and not IntelliJ, I assume. So
there we go.
Yeah. And then just type F as a third parameter. Oh, func. Okay, sorry, func. No, it doesn't. Well, it just can't parse it, I assume, because you have some code there and closing brace, but you can go to the declaration of the function.
like that.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's yes. First thing.
So this one,
Yes.
okay.
And then the closing brace. No bracket. This is bracket.
Parentheses.
Parentheses. What is a bracket then? Square?
Yes.
Square thing?
I don't know if it's
Well,
square
that's a square bracket.
or
This is a curly
curly.
bracket. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I always call them like curly brackets. I don't know if I ever
Curly
use the
bracket.
word.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
brace and parentheses now. Yeah, I'm just forgot about
What
it.
should
Yeah,
this be?
parentheses is around.
Yeah,
We should
you.
return an error and then retry the attempt result. Why is the error first? I have that question, Mikhail. Usually the error is last by convention, right?
because it returns that error only if the attempt result is done. So it's actually, think about it as a result value rather than the error of the operation. It's like a slightly different idea.
Okay.
That's
It's
why
not using an error as an error, it's using an error as a value, which
Yeah,
technically in Go, all errors are values, right? But
yes, but it's using it as the result of the operation, and
oh, okay.
whether it should return that result depends on the attempt result value.
Yeah. You can just
So-
return nil, comma, whatever the value was. It was retry dot continue or
Yeah, retry dot continue. That's it. You got yourself an infinite loop that it runs periodically.
yeah, that just continues. This is already, well, it's not polling anything, but it's already looping with a certain wait time.
Yep. Also, you need to return new from your run function. Probably the editor doesn't have yet shown there is an error. That's why it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just add return new at the end of the here, for example.
I think you can erase all that code.
Well, depends on what you want to do. Up to you what you want to do with it. If you want to,
but we're not getting work. We're doing the HTTP call to Rails, right? Through gRPC.
Yes. To do what?
The make GitLab request.
To do what? To get work.
I suppose.
So you need to do something
we're going to do
work.
we're going to do the request. So in here, we want like do the request.
Yep, you can just Then what do you want to do with the result? Do something with the result.
For now, we're just gonna print it out, print the response body.
So W API make GitLab request.
Dot make.
Does the endpoint already exist on the Rails side on a specific branch?
It does. Yeah. Like I have a W.
Does it have the required format for the path?
No, I think it's not even the right path. Like that's where Vishal and I left off last. But that's what I can start fleshing out as soon as we have this going. So what do we need here? Is this close?
CTX, then the path, and
right.
Yeah, your autocomplete is. I think it's really good for really. I don't know if generic is the right word, but like for really common code, like when we were writing those tests, right?
Why it's so
because
good in
it
the
was like an
GitLab code base?
API.
Like because it's open source and it's Ruby.
Sorry.
It's really good in TypeScript, and I think in the GitLab code base because it's all open source and it's Ruby. common. Okay, so what should this be then? This is the path.
What's the signature of the function of make GitLab request? Path and options. I think we should look at an example. I think it was like the container scanning. What was it called? That was not container or scanning.
Oh, this one, the
Yeah, just search for usages, what you did.
starboard vulnerability, that one.
Yeah, exactly. Because that one did a request similar to the one we were trying to make.
Which one? This one?
Any of those.
Any of them, yeah.
That's a post. We can do that one.
Yeah.
Basically all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Did
sure.
you just pull this whole method? Is that true? Or pull this whole function and
Oh, you
rename
can
it?
take this.
We'll
Don't
inline
take
it.
this. Yeah, don't create functions. I mean, just write it, and then once you have figured it out, then you can decompose it.
separate the logic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting to test and you feel like its own function might work well.
Yeah.
We can just make it a map for now. Like, do we know what the format of the body will be?
No, we haven't figured that out. It's going to be like the state and a timestamp and some other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the rec body struct doesn't exist here, but we can just, for now, just use a map or something. Map string.
Yeah, you need to create a struct, create an empty struct. Then you will just add fields later to it. And yeah, that with JSON request body, will marshal it into a byte slice
to JSON
and send it. Yeah, to send it to the server. It will set content type and set accept. If you, well, actually, to accept a reply, you need to provide the, how's it called, response handler. You can see an example of that in the code you copied this from, in the file you copied this from, yeah, above. Maybe not here. Well, this one, okay, I'm confused. This is the example. There's just another thing that I got confused about, but yeah. You get the response.
I guess this particular starboard vulnerability function is not checking for the response. We do want to check for the response. It's just checking for the status code.
Yeah, the one above does that.
This would be a better example.
Yeah, well, it's mostly the same, except it's also reading the response body.
Yes, otherwise it's identical.
Okay. So this is something to start with. And do you want to keep fleshing this out? You have like, what, 8 minutes left? Or do you want to do something else? Could throw this on a branch.
I don't know what that something else would be. I guess at this, we're at the point where we do need to define what is what is a body that the endpoint expects, what is a correct path for the endpoint, given the constraints of GitLab Agent, that it has to be within a specific path. What is a response as well?
So here. Wake up. So Shakar like had a like the data structure he was using is probably a pretty good start. I was just going to,
That definitely is a good idea.
Are you
but all I
developing
had
independently?
Sorry?
was
Are you developing the same thing independently from each other?
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk
Yes,
about
question mark.
Why? Kind of the obvious question, I guess.
No, seriously, let's. And the answer to that is undetermined at this point. But
Okay.
Basically, two
a
initiatives
topic.
that
Important
we're
question.
attacking. Sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, from what I understand, two initiatives that sprung up independently ended up starting up at the same time regarding remote development. And Shakar was part of the, what was it, like the one engineer team or something like?
Single engineer group in incubation engineering under Bartek.
Yeah, and then we started working out around the same time, and so we're collaborating closely. He's keeping on doing his prototype. We're keeping up doing something that is slightly more than a prototype, because at this point we want to get it, even if it's minimal viability, but we want to get it out. And he may join our team, he may go on to do something else, but either way, we're collaborating, even if we are building independently a similar thing.
Yeah.
We hope that won't be the case for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought
So
you are on the
go ahead.
same team, but then now I remember actually seeing the conversation that you were on the different teams, and yeah, I just forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is he building?
He's building the same thing based off of Agent, GitLab Agent for Kubernetes, but he's going down a path that's not necessarily tied to the dev workspace operator. And he's also doing more of an event-driven approach as opposed to polling.
Mm-hmm.
So here's like the API endpoints, like what I threw together as a starting point. And we could put whatever we want in there, like to start with. I just had work request. I think it'll be like the agent ID, I don't even know if there'll be a project ID. Maybe this doesn't have to be tied to a project, right? But the agent ID, the workspace ID, and the
an array of workspace IDs.
Yeah,
Correct.
an array of workspace IDs, and an array of workspace IDs and the
events for each one.
Actual state or events, yeah. The array of requests.
We're talking request or response?
The
request body or response body?
Request.
It would be like the list of Kubernetes events related to each of those workspaces.
Right. So it could be, I would just start with that, just something simple. So the agent, here's something I'm still vague on, Mikhail. The agent ID, we have to, that's like handled by something automatically. Like how do we
get the agent ID on the server?
Like, do we need the agent ID, or like with this architecture, we don't? Like, we're just going to respond to whatever request we got. We don't care about it.
So you need to ensure there is authentication, and I think on the server side, obviously, and I think this is handled in this file somewhere like above. There's like
it's
I don't know Ruby, so it's somewhere
like
there.
up here. I have it commented out now, but it's this automatic.
Well, that's the thing that authenticates the request. All requests coming into the internal slash Kubernetes.
Yeah,
right?
so this is where Vishal and I left off when we were looking at this last. We have to have something in the request.
So the path is on the correct, the endpoint is on the correct path then.
It is.
I think it is, yeah. So there's this, and then over here, there's like one other place.
These are premium features.
This one and these two lines. The agent, so you fetch the agent, right? The agent ID is param. I remember it now. And then you get the agent, and then you do the
wait.
authorization service stuff.
This parameter, is it coming from the client? You don't need to send it, right?
Part of the
Because
request.
you don't need to send it, and you shouldn't send it because, I mean, it shouldn't be trusted, right? Agent runs on the client's machine. They can send you any number.
So
Instead,
I took this.
So we should
from-
not include it in the
that's wrong.
request body. It should be part of whatever GitLab agent
Server-
already has going on.
Well, so agent sends the agent token to CAS. CAS, to authenticate CAS, uses JWT secret, but also it sends that token to Rails. So using that token, Rails looks it up in the database, and then it has the entity of the agent, and that has the ID of the agent, obviously. So that's how you get the agent ID that can't be spoofed.
Look it up from what originally?
From a database.
Mhm.
Well, that token is used to get the record.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't add anything to the request ourselves. CAS adds automatically an authentication token, and then Rails uses that token both to authenticate and also to see which agent is actually calling it.
Yes.
Like here's
So
where I took this from, the agent configuration. What uses this endpoint, this post?
What is that? Agent configuration and find params agent ID. Well, I don't understand. Like, agent starts, it has the URL and the token. It doesn't know its own agent ID. It needs to get the configuration. It calls this API, and that API returns the agent ID to the agent. Then it uses it for logging and blah, blah, blah. It never needs to send it back to Rails. So I
maybe
don't know
I'm confused.
why
This is an endpoint to update it, but maybe I just got confused and cargo copied this code out of it, and it's not needed. That's probably what I did.
Wait. I'm confused. Yeah. There are two APIs. One is get configuration. That's the API of CAS. And that's what I was talking about. And this is a separate thing. This is where CAS posts agent's configuration to. This is not called by the agent. This is called by CAS only. And that's where CAS needs to pass the ID of the agent, for which it also sends the configuration. So here it is the right thing to do, because CAS can call this API with any agent ID, for which it has the configuration. We trust CAS, we don't trust agents, because CAS runs on the server side, right, on the GitLab side.
Okay.
So don't copy from here. It's not the, it's for different purposes.
Right, so that's not needed, but you do need
we should basically look at the endpoint that something like
agent, right? Agent function,
GitOps
or field, right? It gives you the agent. No, that agent function. Yeah. This one, yes. So it gives you the agent, and it has the agent ID.
Right. So
it's a join or something. Yeah, because there are multiple tokens for a single agent, 0 or more tokens. Some of them can be revoked. And we are looking up token by the hash of the token. And from that token, using a join, we get the agent from a separate table.
Right. So it's this, that join that belongs to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what gives us a handle to the agent if we need it, but we definitely need, like, this is what does the authentication. Like, we get that.
Yeah.
That's still right. We get that for free.
Yes.
So all we need to worry about is just sending the data we want. We don't have to send
Yes.
any agent ID or anything extra. Okay.
Yes. I mean, container scanning doesn't send anything, right? It just calls the function with the body and the URL and the method and whatever. That's it.
Yeah, so, and to start with, it's just like an array of structs, which is the, some identifier for the workspace and its actual state. And, or the some
Or the
identifier
list
for
of
the
events.
workspace, an array of events, and then the timestamp that those events start at to be, or no, of the last one. So that can be echoed back. So then if it's successfully applied, then everything after that is the next one to send.
Okay.
And I did write, I think a little bit, in the architecture doc about this. Have it in another window. Like last night, a little bit about this, no pictures yet, but when agent K listens to events, so we keep a record of the timestamp for the most recent event.
Workspace, not workstation.
I literally
Definitely
don't
not
know which one is it. Which one is it?
Well, as far as I know, it's workspace.
No,
but
Tomas went and changed it back this morning.
the workstation? Maybe I missed some
literally do
conversations
not
in the
know
past
which
week.
one it is supposed to be.
But
I do not know.
last week, I was pretty sure it was workspace. But I think maybe some conversations started again, which made all of that in
I'm
doubt.
probably confusing because I literally do not know.
Let's
Anyway,
just use RDE and then not put any names until we define on a public-facing name. RDE as in remote development environment.
but anyway, this is exactly what I was saying. I minimally documented it. We get the timestamp of the most recent event. So we're going to send an array of structs, which is the workspace identifier, and an array of the events, and then the timestamp of the most recent event, right in there. That is sent. And then if Rails applied those successfully, yep, everything's done. Maybe I sent some work back, maybe I didn't, but it echoes back that timestamp. And then this is going to be in memory. We're going to be keeping, okay, now this is the most recent event. We're going to send next time for this workstation all the events since that. Does that make sense? So I don't know how to draw a diagram of that. That's why I didn't have to think of it. So
just take this recording,
on that.
Take this current recording, clip out the explanation you just gave out, and then put it there. At least for now. Eventually you can put a diagram, but
right, just an MP3. So yep, we're getting there. I think just as of Friday and yesterday, we've formalized this polling architecture and with Mikhail's help. So we just need to flesh it out, iterate on the structures. The one thought I had is yes, we need to hook this up to Kubernetes and the dev workspace operator, but maybe just have a faked implementation of it that just logs to the console. It's just an in-memory array that looks like it's Kubernetes, an array of workstations and events, and fake it out so we can sort of iterate against that, and then we can parallelize this work. Maybe Vishal can be actually hooking up to the dev workspace operator. You can be doing this plumbing in the agent, whatever that needs to do, the polling and stuff, and I can figure out how we're going to manage this state, this state machine thing, which is happening on the Rails side.
On the Rails side, yeah.
What do you think, Mikhail? Are we crazy? I know I'm crazy because I don't know what this is supposed to be called. Workspace, workstation. I don't know. Workspace station.
I think it's workspace, but yeah, I don't know.
I think a bit of the conflict was that workspace was already a terminology in GitLab.
Probably.
For something else.
So it's the right in here. I just said workstation. So in here it's right.
Well, you can say remote workspace or something
No,
like that.
Tomas
Yeah.
renamed workstation to workspace, not the other way around. I think he just looked for workstation. It's just a typo, if you notice. Under the
Okay.
title agent key event timestamps,
Mhm.
listens to for each workstation.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's
got it.
why it was not changed.
Cool.
We could also have a definition at the top, like a workspace is at least at this point. Eventually, it could be a VM, but at least at this point, it's a Docker container that contains the remote development environment. And then maybe just to hedge our documentation a little bit, if you see the word workstation, it is mistaken and it's supposed to be workspace.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Then I just look here to remember what it's called. It's whatever we have in this terminology. All right, we're definitely outside of Go here. We've hijacked this meeting horribly.
I would have felt a bit worse if there were some other questions, but I think we used this time productively, at least for the two of us. I don't know if Mikhail thinks the same thing, but
so before you, before enjoy your vacation, Mikhail, and the holidays, like, do you have any like major concerns that we need to be thinking about, or going down the wrong path, or just keep iterating and fleshing this out?
When do you plan to ship the first iteration?
Early
there
next
was
year.
a strong desire. Sorry?
Early next year. And there is a major customer that's got a major interest in this, like now.
Okay. Do you think you'll deliver that? Like, are you on track? Do you see any blockers?
I think the biggest blockers are the lack of definition, which we are like constantly working on. Every one of these meetings, we drill a little bit deeper on what we need to be doing.
Right.
I think we'll be firmer on whether we deliver it at the point where Chad was talking about, where like we know exactly what to do and we can clearly parallelize all of the work.
Yep.
That's a way of saying I think so, but there's still some unknowns.
Yeah, actually, when
Go ahead.
sending events and polling for work, like, you're only sending new events since some timestamp, or
all of them, only the ones
since the last events that were acknowledged to be correctly processed, basically.
right
by Rails.
By Rails, yeah. Which in theory should be most of them, right? Like in theory, we should be able to process all of the events. Unless like there's some
and it acknowledges as part of get work.
As part of the response to the HTTP request.
And if there is no work,
this is it right here.
What does it do if there is no work? It just sends you an empty reply with the acknowledgement that.
Just with the acknowledgements. Yeah, that's why we're not getting work. That would be like the second iteration. We're not getting work. Technically we're pushing and pulling in the same HTTP request.
Yeah,
we're pushing the events and pulling any work. As well as the acknowledgements of the events we sent.
And the benefit of that is then you don't have to worry about like trying to, race conditions of, I'm trying to send work, but I just got an update of this. It's like guaranteed to be synchronous. You're always going to generate the work based off of the latest state.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't have...
The way I'm thinking of it, maybe I'm completely off base.
No, I think it sounds fine. I don't have any concerns from the technical perspective, at least.
Who is the maintainers of this repo once if we ever start merging stuff to it? The people like
you should be maintaining your code if that's what you're asking.
I meant for merging to it. Like
assign it to me.
Hooked up?
Assign it to me.
Oh, assign it to you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.